Still rolling? All right, Dennis, checking in, man. What about it, Dennis? How about that football and focus James Rape Shack, huh?
Oh, man, it's an outstanding show. It's a lot of people here tonight to get us prepared for Friday night. They just had a legendary and Coach Slate. And, you know, and the one thing I like about this venue, everybody get an opportunity to come by, part of football. It's like a big family.
It is.
And Coach Slate been around a long time and very dear to us. And it's always good to come in and in this atmosphere to see all the people that's part of this family.
And speaking about that family, we got the football family going. Dennis White, broadcaster with us at GreensboroSports.com. Got Don Moore in the house. Saw Lester Rivenbark Sr. over there earlier and saw his father. Came in to get some food tonight. They were Grimsley people, Southeast people, NCA&T people a while back. Got those Southeast Guilford kids coming in sometime during the course of the program this evening. Got Dennis with us, and let's talk about some of those teams we talked about last week, maybe the past couple of weeks. Panthers finally got the win, 1-2 now.
Yeah, and they beat a lot of people don't realize, but the New York Giants are still a good team. As long as you got Eli Manning and that defense of the Giants is having a rough start, but Eli Manning was off throwing interceptions, but that defense, you had to give credit to the Carolina Panther defense. And Jock, they finally pulled one through. I was hoping, when I seen the score 38-0, I would say there's no way they can come back now. But you know, the last two games the Panthers have played, they gave them away right at the end, but this time they held on to the game.
You think Ron Rivera's job is safe now?
Yeah, I think Rivera's job is safe. He got about 3 or 4 more games to show the Panther faithfuls that he's for real and the Panthers are for real, and I think he's going to be all right.
Now they're 1-2 now. They got a bye week this week. Got the week off, then they go out to Arizona next week. They get that record of 2-2. They should be in some pretty good shape.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And then when you look at the games that the Panthers lost real quickly, they only lost the 2 games they lost. They could have very well been 3-0.
Yeah,
certainly could be 3-0 and
should be 3-0.
Yeah, exactly. And Ron Rivera will be the happiest man in Charlotte.
Well, if they were 3-0, he'd be in line to be coach of the year.
Yes, that's
the way it was. He was in line maybe to get fired, but now his job seems to be a little bit safer.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Each week his job is getting closer and closer on the line. I think he reeled it in with that big victory. The margin of victory really got a lot of Panther fans ready. The win is great, but you beat the Giants, who used to come in and demolish you. You beat the Giants 38-0. That was not a cakewalk at all, Andy.
What about UNC? They got beat on the road down at Georgia Tech. What about UNC playing East Carolina? Big game this week, East Carolina, ECU, and UNC. This could be a high water mark for the Tar Heels. They don't win that one, they're going to be in kind of bad shape.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Fedora, with his high-paced NASCAR offense, they ran into Vadley, and Eric Ebron had a great game.
He did. You see that catch he made when he went and grabbed that ball in one hand?
That was amazing.
Heck of a catch.
That was one of the heck of a catches, and Andy, that's something we've seen Eric Ebron do over the high school years, make some spectacular catches and spectacular hits. So, yeah, the game that they played on Saturday, the rain, the weather, but still, they should have came out with a victory. UNC didn't look bad, but they need to get on task and beat East Carolina.
How about that P.J. Hairston news today? He's going to be back in practice tomorrow, back with the Tar Heels practicing, and going to miss a few games during the season, but it sounds like P.J. Hairston and Coach Roy Williams have come together, kind of agreeing on terms. He's got a shot to play this year. That's a big step in the right direction for him. He apologized to everybody, said he made some mistakes and trying to turn it around, going to be in practice, dedicated to the team, coach is seeing eye to eye on some things, and he'll be playing this year. That's a pretty good move, good deal for him.
And it's almost one of those things we want to call a miracle, because P.J. Harrison's season career looked like it was over. That if somebody would have told me that back in July, August,
on that Sunday afternoon when he got pulled over doing 93, 95 miles an hour coming back from Salisbury, at that stage I thought it was over for him. I said, there's no way they're going to let him back. That's the death penalty right there.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And then one thing about the NCAA, if he was in school, see, he was not registered in school at the time for the school to take any type of actions. But the basketball team was able to do suspensions before the season even started. That was a way to keep this kid in, because if he was in school, he would have got kicked out of school perhaps, and then then he would have been ineligible to play. So that's just one of those NCAA rules.
If it would have been in season, he wouldn't have had time to be doing those things anyway, but it would have been maybe the spring semester. He
he'd have been out.
He'd have been gone.
Yeah, he'd have been gone. You're exactly right. So, that's a good thing for PJ, and a lot of people look at that, they smack athletes on the hands. They give athletes an opportunity to do. But I think that you have to look at it, that the kid made mistakes. Some mistakes that was very costly. Driving that fast, you could have hurt yourself, hurt someone, fatalities. But nevertheless, we are not in the position to make these calls that the big people made. And I'm glad for PJ that he get an opportunity, and I hope he learned from this.
How about these unbeaten teams? We'll talk some more about these maybe later tonight, but we'll talk about them right now while we got Dennis White with us. What about you got Dudley 4-0, Northern 4-0, Southeast Guilford 4-0, Eastern Guilford's 4-0. Who holds out the longest of that unbeaten streak? Northern almost lost their streak last Friday night at Reedsville. Won that game, I think, by 1 point in double overtime. We thought at one time that Reedsville had won that game, but Northern did come back and they won it. They picked up a double overtime victory. But what about Dudley 4-0, Northern the same thing, Southeast is 4-0, Eastern Guilford the same thing. Got 4 unbeaten teams left in the county out of 15 teams. Who do you think holds out the longest for the unbeatens?
I think when you look at the record, and I think Dudley Panthers will hold out in the 4A. Then when you look at 3A, of course Northern is going to hold out over Eastern Guilford. And then in the 4A, Southeast, Dudley will hold out longer than Southeast. Due to Dudley's defense, Dudley have one of the best defense in the 4A. And when you look at Southeast Guilford, their defense is pretty good. But Dudley have the best defense, and they have a guy by the name of Emmanuel Mosley. So Dudley have a little more fortune in the 4A than Southeast. And then in the 3A, Northern have history on his side, and Northern have a lot of kids that has been tried and
tested. You think Northern holds out longer than Dudley?
No, hold out longer than Eastern Guilford.
What about in Dudley, though? I mean, you got 4 teams. I mean, we're not breaking them down 4A3. We're breaking them down one big group.
I think if you break them down one big group, I think it's hard to call. It's hard to call. I'm not one of the guys that want to be a guesser, but I think that you got me tonight, and now I say
I think it's time.
Northern.
I think it's time to jump off the dresser and become a guesser.
I say Northern. I would say Northern.
Northern could go down tomorrow night, though. Western Alamance down at Elon going against the Western Alamance Warriors. Warriors 5-0, Northern 4-0. It could all come to a close tomorrow night.
Exactly. And
Dudley, I don't think Dudley's going to lose tomorrow night. Going to Northern Durham. Northern Durham's 0-5.
So I'm still going with Northern. I think Northern will last longer due to, as I said, experience.
What do you think Eastern's going to see theirs come to an end when they face head-to-head when they go against Northern?
Yeah, when they go against Northern, when they go against Western Alamance, when they go against the top tier of that 3A, that's what I was trying to get. When they go to the top tier of that 3A, that's going to diminish. And Southeast, when they get into the heart of their schedule, this is going to diminish. But I think Dudley and Northern, I think Northern will not last the pack.
And you look at Southeast, if they could hold out, they don't play Dudley to the last game of the regular season. Southeast will meet Page in their first conference game. When do you see Southeast maybe start to see this thing get behind them and leave them the 4-0? When do you think that unbeaten record ends for South? They've got this week. They've got Southwest. Very good chance to be Southwest. Could turn out to be a good ball game, and we'll keep an eye on it. Then next week, Southeast will be playing Salisbury. Salisbury 0-5. What do you think about Southeast?
Well, Southeast are 2 games they have coming up, as you just said, not to jump the gun past Southwest. That Southwest is a team that's going to come in and they're going to be ready to play tomorrow night. And so, but they have 2 easy teams that if they can beat Southwest, and then certainly Salisbury with that 0-4-5 record. So they have 2 games, but you can't look past those 2 games you got to play tomorrow night against Southwest Cowboys. Because the Cowboys are going to come in with every gun loaded and ready to play tomorrow night.
We're keeping an eye on this one tonight here at Shane's Rib Shack, checking out how things are rolling here for the broadcast this evening. Shane's Rib Shack, Football in Focus. Got our Southeast Guilford guys on the way in tonight. We'll be seeing those guys in a few minutes. I know they're headed this way as we speak. We got Bubba Craven coming in. We got, I think, the Williams combo. I think we got the Williams combo coming in. We got Bubba Craven on the way. We got TJ Williams. We got Victor Barnes. And we've also got Travis Williams. They're all headed our way tonight for Shane's Rib Shack. And we'll have those guys in a few. We got Dennis White with us, so till the guys show up. And talking to Dennis about some of our topics here this evening. Let's get back to Dennis full steam ahead now, because Dennis White's got his own segment. In fact, Dennis may have 2 segments in what we do here tonight. But talk about the unbeatens.
And looking at Southeast, as you just mentioned the name, Bubba Craven, the leader. Bubba is the quarterback. He's doing an outstanding job this season for Southeast Guilford. I was reading the segment on Bubba Craven, how he's got this team fired up. And so when you look at what Southeast is doing with their momentum and mentally, they're now riding high. And you know, you thought last year they had Petty, the Petty kid, that this would be their record last year, but this year, so it's good they played on a lot of momentum.
How about Page and Grimsley? They both could use a little momentum right now. If those teams were to happen to lose tomorrow night, Page and Grimsley could both drop down to 2-4 on the season.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
And Page is, again, to remind us once again who's involved, Page has got High Point Central at home. Central's only lost one game. They got beat by West Forsyth by 1 last week. And Grimsley's at Northwest. Northwest coming off a huge win at home against Winston-Salem-Reagan, 37-35. They won the game on a safety, so you know Northwest is pumped up. Grimsley without, I think, 7 starters. Jake Simpson's down. He's injured, so Grimsley could be in some bad shape. What about Grimsley and Page? How those two teams might be 2-4 when tomorrow night is over?
Yeah, and Page, first of all, we start with Page Pirates. They're playing a tough High Point Central team. Mr. Jamal Mack, Coach Jones, they are ready for Page. They're coming up with that tough loss, which they led during that game on last week. And now High Point Central, Page offense, that defense for High Point Central is for real. And that offense, so Page really going to have to put up a lot of points tomorrow night, which they haven't done this season, to help their cause. And you know,
they did something last week that kind of got my attention. Jalen Gavin kind of took over that quarterback spot last week. And when Gavin got going, it seemed like Page's offense was more productive. We had a score at one point last week that Page was winning in that game. Look back at the box score later. Page did not lead. They were down early 14-0, came back and made it a closer game. But again, East Forsyth went on to win that game. But Jalen Gavin takes over at QB. He seems like he may have some of the edge. It may help their offense out a bit. And so that's something they may have to do just because of the lack of inexperience and that lack of inexperience back there with Dominique Britt.
You're exactly right, Andy. That's what you and I talked about early on. Certainly, you've got loyal. You want to be loyal to the Brits. You want to be loyal to Dominique, giving them an opportunity. But at some point, you've got to say, hey, like you just told me when I was looking at 3 and 4, breaking it down. Hey, sometimes you've got to change the cuss to the fuss and get down to it and move. So that's something you and I talked about. Jalen Gavin is an experienced, big-time player. Put Jalen Gavin in a position to win a game for you, he'll win it. Put Britt in a game for you, he would be panicked because he hadn't had an experience like Jalen Gavin. But Page, they can't ill afford to continue to fall back because last year, you know, they came back and won the conference, but they don't have their teammate this year that they had last year to come back. And when you look at Grimsley, when you have 7 starters out and Jake Simpson is out, that's your season. It's sad to say, but I don't think anybody can afford to lose majority of their starters. Grimsley started out the gates real good with their starters.
2-0, yeah.
2-0. Yeah. And then they was 2-2.
But there was no room for injury, no room for error. They could not have any mistakes. Could have people go down. Once people went down, then Grimsley started gradually go down themselves. And I'm just saying, I know they're thankful they got those first 2 wins because the way it looks now, I'm not trying to be the guy to spread the despairing or bad news. This is going to be tough the rest of the way for Grimsley because you look at that conference. Southern Alamance is stoked right now with a kid named Jonathan Lloyd. They got him who's playing extremely well. You got Smith who's fighting back. You got Southeast that's unbeaten. You got Page that's still got some Page left in them.
That's
then
right.
you got Dudley who's not going to give up any points at all.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Andy. And I know we're going to have to cut out. And
we're going to have you back later, though. So.
Yeah, we're going to make a segue for these guys to come in, for Southeast Gifford guys to come in. But one of the good things, Andy, that you can say, you just said a mouthful about Grimsley, they have won 2 games, and that let people know that Coach Pat Neal has what it takes to win some ball games, and so it's a good thing from that perspective. I give it to him. I give it to him.
Yeah, pass those over.
Yeah. And that's a good thing that Pat Neal came in and got started with 2-0.
Let's let Dennis check out. We got some cards for the guys for the meals. Those Dennis has got those cards. He'll hustle those over because they're getting shaking loose over there right now.
We get
Dennis Terrace here tonight. Talked to Coach Bill Slayton earlier, talked to TJ Williams, Travis Williams, Victor Barnes, Bubba Craven, all the guys. Bubba's dad was here earlier. Got everybody in the house tonight going on full steam ahead, Dennis. And what have you learned so far here this evening, Dennis?
Well, I learned a lot about Southeast Gifford team. I was listening to Bubba Craven. At first, Bubba was talking about what the coach demands of them, and also listened to the Williams, how hard they work, what the expectation. And you asked a question about the 4-0, asked Bubba, what have they done to get the 4-0? I think he answered better than anybody. Discipline, doing what they do best, listening, paying attention to the coaches. And I think that's one of the best things you can do to be a winning team, is you have to be focused, pay attention to the coaches behind the system.
Tell you, have you enjoyed the visit with Southeast? You're getting to know these guys a little bit tonight?
Yeah, exactly right. When they came in, I was able to shake hands and told them about the football in focus, what to expect when they sit beside you, and be poised and enjoy it, have fun, and answer the questions, because we're getting them prepared for college interviews and probably pro interviews. But yeah, I certainly enjoyed getting to know Southeast, because last year they came in and Mr. Petty and all of those guys, they came in, and a father came in last year with the kids, and so I like to see that when a father come in with his son and be a part of what they're trying to accomplish.
It's a good thing. Shane's Rib Shack Football in Focus for a Thursday night. Dennis White now with us, part of the broadcast team. Dennis is, and we were talking earlier about Northern at Western Alamance. Do you think Northern keeps that unbeaten record rolling tomorrow night? They're 4-0 going in.
Yeah, I think Northern learned a lot from last week. Anytime you're a team like Northern and you get a scare because they're 33, they want to protect that 33. Now, you don't want to be the Northern team that lose because everybody else have established the record. You don't want to be known for we the one that the streak was broken on.
That's why Austin Coltrane was playing so hard last week. He didn't want to be the senior quarterback and have the team lose under his leadership, under his guidance. He didn't want to give up that win.
You're exactly right. And so all over this playing, it's like a wrestler, heavyweight champion. You're playing for that belt. You're wrestling for that belt week in and week out. So you don't want to be the guy that loses that belt. So what I think Northern is going to have to do, I think they learned a lot from that, and they're going to come out a totally different. I would not want to be the team to play Northern, because they almost taste defeat, and so they're going to be ready. They're going to be hungry, and they're going to be clicking on all cylinders.
Getting back toward what we talked about with Coach Slayton, did you have a kind of the big Jim Modlin night tonight too? About a year ago when he passed away, a big part of our broadcast team for a number of years. Did you have a memory of him you could share with us this evening? We might do this every year if we can keep this going for a while. But again, did you have kind of a thought back to Big Jim, going back all those years?
I think one of the fun memories with Jim was when I was just coming on with you guys, because I did a lot of things. Then I started doing interviews. When you put me in interviews, Jim used to tell me, he critiqued me out there every time I go on the interview. He said, just slow down and don't say the word coach, 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 coach. He was a teacher. He was a mentor. And, Jim gave me that advice. He said, just be poised, calm down, and get your words out clear, because we're not going anywhere. Don't rush it.
Right.
And so, I took that as positive, corrective criticism, and that helped me with my craft. And you and Jim, tape it and rewind it and play it to yourself, because you told me to take years, and Big Jim was the same pattern after you. But yeah, that's other memories I have. Being on time when we go into the state championship game.
Yeah.
Jim said, I called Jim and said, Andy is waiting on you. AD's call you AD. AD is waiting on you. One thing I'm going to tell you about Andy, the state championship game, if he say 3:15, you be at 3 o'clock, because he's ready to go. And I was pulling up, and I saw you pacing back and forth. And Jim looked at me and said, Dennis was almost late. So those memories, and going to those state games, and Jim always find the food. You follow Big Jim Martlin, you going straight to the food. I know you asked for one memory, but it's just so many. Jim was going to go to the food's the big man. So Jim was going to go to the food and critique me, and a lot of other memories that we have of Big Jim. But those are the ones that stick out, that he was warning me of the things that I had to do to maintain good grace with you, the boss. So Jim reminded me a lot of things as a rookie, as a newcomer, welcoming with open arms, and a lot of fun memories. Jim just accepted me as a family member, just accepted me as one of the brothers in his organization, and it was just being welcomed into those big arms and sitting there on Friday nights. And Jim Waller had a sense of humor, man, like nobody else. And just a lot of things, man. You got me almost tearing up thinking about Big Jim. And I'm glad you remembering him because he was a great part of this organization.
What about the school board meeting tonight? You may have not followed this too much, but they got the group out at the Eugene Street uptown tonight going and looking at this Western Guilford group's going to has a presentation to try to name the Western Guilford Stadium to Joe Robinson Stadium. There's going to be a counter group there tonight that's going to oppose that nomination, that recommendation. They want the stadium to be named the Doug Henderson Football Stadium. Doug Henderson was the coach there. His team won the state title back in 1977. Coach Robinson coached there for a number of years, and a lot of his former players would like to see the stadium named in his honor. Big battle may be brewing down at the school board meeting. Not sure what's going on there. We were going to be here. We might have had a chance to be down there tonight, but that's going to be interesting when you see two former groups of students, two alumni factions that are going to go head to head to try to get something done. It should be kind of neat to see what finally comes out of that meeting tonight.
Yeah, and I'm opposed certainly to division. I mean, you both of those gentlemen meant a lot to your school. Why not name it Henderson Robinson Stadium and be done with it? Now, rather than opposing, because that's a great football tradition, that's a great community, and anytime you're opposing something for the same, it's for the same cause. I mean, it's going to be the name of the stadium. You name it in both honors, or name the concession stand or area after one.
Yeah, I thought about the Henderson Stadium and his former defensive coach who was with him for a number of years, Bill Hollifield, had the Henderson Stadium, Bill Hollifield Field, and in the workout area called the workout training area, the Joe Robinson Training Facility.
You're exactly
Everybody
right.
involved.
You are on it, Jock. I agree with you 100% because, and that's a great world-class organization over there that they have at Western Guilford. It's outstanding facilities, and as you said, I agree with you. Break it down in threes, name each part, because that will satisfy everybody, because you're going in division for your school. I just don't agree with that.
How about the best running back in the county so far this season? Who's the best running back you've seen and heard about this year?
The best running back in the county. Let me think.
We grab a bite to eat today.
No. We
kidding.
cannot include Emmanuel Mosley because he's a quarterback. We're running backs only, right?
Yeah.
I would have to. I think I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna step out on a limb. I'm gonna go with the rookie over at Northern.
Freeman.
I think I'm gonna go with Freeman. CJ Freeman.
Okay.
He's been the most consistent back doing his job. CJ Freeman is putting up big numbers, so I'm gonna go with CJ Freeman.
Let me give you the numbers so far. We're tracking these at the website. Not always exactly on every inch of these numbers, but pretty close. You got so far Mosley with 735. You got Markel Cartwright out of High Point Andrews. I think he's at about 645, and Freeman's at 400 on the season.
Wow.
You've also got the running back down at Southeast Guilford. We'll see Shakir Turner tomorrow night. I think Shakir is about 450 on the season.
Okay.
But going with Freeman, stick with Freeman. What about the best quarterback so far then?
Yeah.
Best
now I
quarterback.
can say in Emmanuel Moses, Coltrane is right there in the mix, but Emmanuel Mosley, because Mosley has been the defense for Duncan Panther. Moses is a do-it-all, outstanding. He have a high IQ of the game. He was a born to quarterback.
Mosley?
Yeah,
he didn't get the chance until this year.
Exactly, because they had Richard Hayes.
Yeah.
Because of his size, Mosley always been small. Mosley went into work, waited his turn, went in the weight room this summer, started working out. Emmanuel was the quarterback for 2 years over at Harrison. He was one of my star athletes in my track team. Emmanuel Moses is an athlete. You know, the athleticism is in their family. But yeah, he is foremost the best quarterback with this running ability.
Yeah, we had some other guys like you had talked about, kind of alluded to some other names. Mosley's your top when you mentioned Coltrane for consideration. Heath Justice has had a very good year down at Eastern Guilford. Jake Simpson was having a great year. He got hurt.
Yeah,
he was
Jake
up at about 800 yards passing before he got injured.
Jake Simpson, as you said, he put his team on his back. Jake Simpson would be.
He carried that team for so long, he finally broke his back.
Exactly.
Not literally, but close to it now.
Close to it, yeah. Yeah, Jake Simpson is a totally different style quarterback than any quarterback we have today playing in Guilford County. Jake Simpson demands respect on the football field. Jake Simpson dominate defenses like no other quarterback can. Mosley has the speed on the outside, but Jake Simpson run like a fullback right up the middle. He'll take a hit.
Who do you think the best kicker has been we've seen so far this year? May have seen him last week.
Yeah. The best kicker had to be last week
Caleb Stanley?
over at Mr. Stanley. I mean, because he was our shake and shake player of the game. He is one of the.
I've not seen another kicker.
I haven't seen one like him
this year. We've seen some good.
Last year we had the kid of High Point
Will
Central.
Johnson.
Will Johnson.
Will averaged 47 yards a punt this past Saturday. 6 punts. He was named the CIAA Special Teams Player of the Week as a freshman. Will/William Johnson. That's unreal.
That's unbelievable.
I was telling you about him last week. I was mentioning Suarez.
Sure was.
At Providence Grove.
That's right.
They're not rotating. I think right now Suarez is kicking the extra points and Will's doing the punting and kicking off.
Right.
And that seems to be working pretty good.
Yeah,
you average 47 yards a punt. I don't care if you're playing for the Warnersville or Keeler team. That's still pretty darn good.
47 yards a punt. That's accuracy. That's consistency, and that's what you want. That's hang time. You know that he have all the intangibles of going to the next level that Will Johnson has. Special teams guy.
How about so far this season? We talked about maybe the coach of the year to this point of the year.
I think right now we would have to, if we was voting tomorrow, we would have to be Robinson from Eastern Gifford, Coach Robinson down in Eastern Gifford, because he have brought a program. He's resurrected a program. He almost remind me of Rodney Brunton. When Brunton came on the scene over at Smith, Brunton took what he had, made something out of nothing, and put Smith back on the map, and that's what he's doing. When you go in and beat Northeast, when you go on the road and beat Southern, when you beat these teams like Robinson have, he have to be my nominee for the Coach of the Year.
You know the name I wrote down, and maybe to some they may not get it, but I think of Brian Thomas, the head coach out of Northern Guilford. I think he's done a very good job in taking over the program for Coach Roscoe, the program he left behind, and the transition has been so smooth by Coach Brian Thomas to take them to 4-0. They pulled out the win at Reedsville last week. I think I've got to give him a little edge there too, not over Robertson. Robertson's got to be your coach of the year at Eastern Guilford so far, having a great year. But I got to give some credit though to Coach Thomas what he's done. That's not an easy job. You take on some guy who's a legend, won 3 championships in a row, state titles. You got to be the new coach takes his spot. It's not that easy.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Andy. Anytime because expectations were so high, people did not expect
people
Robinson.
Were saying, how do we continue this?
Yeah, you're exactly right. People didn't expect Robinson to come in and be 4-0, but they enjoyed it. But then, like you said, on the flip side with Northern, the expectations were high because they still had a lot of good players coming back. So that you got the mantle, now you carry it, but this is a winning tradition.
Right.
And you've got to walk off that field and look up in the stands to 1,000 fans every Friday night at home to say, hey, you did it or you didn't do it. So I'm glad that he is hearing them say that you're doing what you need to do.
The other 4-0 coaches are doing a good job too, by the way. Coach Fritz sent us Southeast 4-0 to start the year, 5-0 chance tomorrow night. And you've also got Coach Davis over at Dudley. I mean, Dudley's got a lot of talent every year, but Coach Davis has to keep that talent in place and make sure they take the field and those guys get the job done. And he's been doing that. Plus, he had to go back and become the offensive coordinator this year too. He loses Coach Kirkpatrick to Smith. It's been a very good year, very good start for Coach Davis over at Dudley. Had to take former Coach Anderson from down at Grimsley, put him in charge of the defense. Had to change that role too because Coach Davis was doing the defense. You got to give Coach Davis some credit at Dudley.
You're exactly right, Andy. Not only did he lose Coach Kirkpatrick, but he lost 3 other coaches. He lost his defensive coach. He also lost offensive line coach. He also lost his offensive coordinator as well. So he lost almost on every aspect. Also special teams coach. So Coach Davis, like you say, he had to go out, recruit coaches. Now all of this happened over the summer.
Right.
So Coach Davis and I, we became real close this summer, and I heard a lot of things that he was going through because some of the people that I knew, he wanted some references, some guys that I knew, some people that we knew together, talked about him and some things but Coach Davis did not, he did not go into a panic mode. He wished all those guys well as Smith, gave them thumbs up, and he knew what he had to do to get his program back up. He didn't miss a beat. You're exactly right. And then that's something people don't see when you have a chain that's running so smooth and then all of a sudden links started popping as you're going down the hill. What do? So Coach Davis put the links back together, and now I'm not the one to say some of those guys probably wish they wouldn't have left, but sometimes you got to go and build your own program. I can understand that as well.
You know, Coach Rainey's done a good job at Southwest. The big game at Southeast tomorrow night, but Coach Rainey takes them to 2 wins, 2 and 3 now, and competitive. That's something Southwest has not been the past couple of seasons. They're now competitive and playing a much better brand of football. It's good to see a team go out on Friday night, going before the game starts. You haven't lost the game before it even gets going.
Right, and then as you gave me a good point, a good segue to come in. All the new coaches, all 4 new coaches, all of them have 2 wins. Each new coach have 2 wins, and Robinson is above the 2 wins, but everybody have those 2 wins. Kirkpatrick have his 2, Rainey have his 2, and over at Grimsley, Coach Pat Neal, he have his 2.
Yeah.
So all the new coaches so far, they all have something that they can say that Coach Thomas at Northern got his 2.
Yeah.
You're exactly right. So everybody 2, and some of them is above that, but Southwest, and like you said to the kids of Southeast, you cannot take a team for Southwest for granted because they're going to come in and want to beat you.
That's right. They've done it before too. So if you're Southeast, you got to be ready for the game tomorrow night. Chance to be 5-0 with a win.
Yeah, 5-0 for Southeast. Anyway, could you recall in the last 10 years that Southeast had this good start?
They usually slip up somewhere along the way. Early in the season, somebody's going to knock them off. They just got to hope it's not going to be Southwest Guilford. That's for sure.
Right.
But you look at tomorrow night, big game. Going to be Southwest and Southeast. Southwest comes in. You got the quarterback Hensley, who was the Guilford County Player of the Week a couple weeks back. They got Rick Mack. He's a good receiver, good running back. He's been the Player of the Week in the county. You got Southeast, got a great running game. Solid running game, power running game. We got C.J. McThay, one of the backs we'll be watching. Shakir Turner. Got the quarterback Bubba Craven. Got that tough offensive line led by T.J. Williams up front. Got the outside linebacker Travis Williams. Got the defensive lineman Victor Barnes, the guys that joined us tonight. Going to be a good game. And Southeast has the edge going in. Being the home team, going 4-0. It's up to Southwest if they come in and sneak and get a victory. But right now, a lot of people are putting the money on Southeast if they come to play.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And last week I said my estimate of the score probably was going to be 21-14, and it ended up being, 20-12?
20-12.
So I was close, so I'm going to go, my prediction again, it's going to be the same thing, 21 Southeast Gifford 21 and Southwest 14. I think they'll win by the touchdown. I think we're going to have the same style game we had last week, the rivalry games. I think we're going to have the same style of play. I don't see Southeast dominate Southwest, and then Southwest is going to give them a ball game.
I can see Southeast style maybe be in some ways similar to Dudley's, where they're going to run that ball and run that clock. That's what Southeast wants to run that power game and just run it. That clock just keeps running along. They get control of the game, Southeast does, and they go on to win it maybe by a couple of touchdowns. That's what I'm going to favor by between 14 to 17 point Southeast win. We'll see if that is different tomorrow night, but that's going to about wrap it up for this evening. It's Shane's Rib Shack, Thursday Night Football in Focus. Dennis, some final thoughts from you here tonight.
Yeah,
Go back and what did you find out about tonight? What did we pick up tonight?
What we picked up tonight was to listen to, as I said, the gentlemen Southeast. They are not a team that have their head higher than a 4-0. They are a team that is still seem to be very disciplined, seem to be a very humble group, and that's one thing I love about a full ball club, that humbleness. And these kids they're very respectful.
They're humble, but they're yet still hungry.
Still hungry. HHX, exactly right. Humble, but still hungry.
Not hungry when they leave Shane's, but they're still hungry for another win.
Right, exactly right. And I love the support. We're going to a fan-based school tomorrow where you're going to see orange and black all over. They represent, that's a close-knit community, very, very hospitable group that we're going to see tomorrow. So I'm excited, and I just love football in focus because you get the guys prepared for what lies ahead for tomorrow.
Going to have the guys ready for the game, and again, thanks to Bill Slayton, our guest from earlier tonight, also to T.J. Williams, Travis Williams. We also checked in that with Victor Barnes, Bubba Craven from Southeast. Dennis White was here for us once again. Good job, Dennis. I guess we'll see you and Nathan tomorrow night.
Yes, sir. We'll be there bright and early, 5:30, 5:45.